Hi, I'm so glad to be here. I traveled here all the way from Austin, Texas, so it's been a long journey. And I'm actually really nervous, partly because my demo depends on Claude Code behaving. So I'm pretty doomed, actually. But, so have you noticed this trend in tech where AI-assisted coding tools, everyone thinks they're an application developer now? Like, yeah, everyone's doing it. Well, I'm doing it too. I made this app called Commit Story, and with the help of Claude Code, and I'm so very proud of it. So it's an automated engineering journal. It's triggered on a Git commit. It runs in the background. If you're using Claude Code, it collects your Claude Code AI chat as well as your Git diff and Git code, and then it automatically makes an engineering journal entry for you. So I'm going to demo my app. What's this got to do with cloud computing? You'll figure it out. Here we go. Okay, there we go. So here we are. We're in Claude Code, and we're in my repo. And right now I have some changes staged. Oh, commit the stage changes with the message. How about Cloud Native Denmark? What's the end of that sentence? Okay, rules. Woo! Ow, ow, ow. Okay, so then I said this is running in the background, and it is. Well, let's get the commit going. But right now I have it in a debug mode and in a dev mode, so I can see some logs. And so what I expect to happen that is in my VS Code, I'm going to get a new file with today's date, and it's going to have a journal entry in it. So let's come on, big money, no whammies. So and here we are. We got a journal entry. It's today's date and time. We have a summary. So it's a new file. What I did for this commit was I created myself an itinerary. I used Claude Code to be like, what should I do while I'm in Aarhus? And so it gave me a summary. So there's an AI invocation that made the summary. There's another AI invocation that gave me this development dialogue. You can see exactly what I wrote during the session, which is like, what? There's a bar with 1,300 clown figurines? Hell yeah, I want to go there. And then there's also a technical decisions section. And all of those, each one is powered by a separate AI instance. So I want to talk more about how it works, and I'm going to use Claude Code to help me with that. So I'm going to tell Claude Code to get the trace ID from the console logs. So that's something that I'll just show you. So you can see the trace ID got outputted as part of my console logs. And so I wanted to get that trace ID, and then using this plus correlated telemetry. So correlated logs and metrics, I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Draw me a diagram about how the system works. I type a lot faster when I'm not on a stage. So I'm going to also say, because I've been burned before, search smartly and minimize token usage. And also, just for funsies, let's add some color with a sprinkling of telemetry facts. All right, so it's going to do that. Let's talk about correlation. So my code is heavily instrumented with OpenTelemetry, heavily instrumented. All the things you're not supposed to do, I did them all. But I also correlated my logs, metrics, and traces. So when I have that trace ID, I can pick up all the correlated logs for that particular trace, and I can pull in metrics data too, all just from that one trace ID. So let's see, response truncated. Oh, it's still trying to make big calls. Let's see what happens. I hear y'all have a dark sense of humor. What is red and bad for your teeth? A brick. All right, here we go. So this is it's triggered by a git commit. Cloud Native did mark rules. And phase one is it's the context collection. So it's getting Git data. It's getting your Claude chat data, which is stored on your machine, and it's doing some filtering. Then it's validating that the OpenAI connectivity works. Then it's doing the AI generation in parallel. And then it's composing the journal. And then it does the export. And then there's some highlights all along the way, too. So that's the demo of how my app works and how OpenTelemetry is helping with it. Let me... so how many of you have played around with coding assistants before? Yeah. Oh, yeah, a lot of you. Then you understand, you have my back. This is totally new. This isn't a way that we've been playing with coding assistants before by pulling in telemetry and using that at development time. So it's the Datadog MCP server that I'm using is in preview. It's not actually even available to you yet, but also other vendors have them, and you can even make your own. So it's not exclusive to Datadog. So before I dig in on more about my project and how I've been using OpenTelemetry to help with my development, I wanted to level set briefly about what OpenTelemetry is. It's a model for how to translate system events into useful data for observability. So it was hard for me to wrap my head around at first because it's so many different spinning components. And when people say OpenTelemetry or OTel, they could mean a lot of different things. They might mean the spec. There are literally hundreds of markdown documents defining what OpenTelemetry, what different pieces of telemetry should look like. There's also a protocol, OTLP protocol, for moving telemetry data around. It's also software, but it's not just one piece of software. That would be too easy. It's a few pieces of software. The highlights are which there are OpenTelemetry APIs. There's one for each language to help you emit telemetry data for your specific language, and there are auto instrumentation involved in that too. There's OpenTelemetry SDKs that gets that stuff and does stuff with it. It helps with correlating all the different metrics, all the different telemetry data together. And then also there's a collector, which I'm not using as part of my demo. But all of that together, when I say OpenTelemetry, I'm talking about that stuff. If you do want to know how to use OpenTelemetry correctly, not like I did it, well, correctly for production, we'll say. This is a new use case trying to use it for development. Giuliano Costa yesterday gave a talk called Smells Like Clean Telemetry, and I recommend you check that out. If it's recorded, check out his talk. So my goal with my telemetry is empowering my AI coding assistant to help me to not lie to me all the time. So let's see what else Claude Code can understand from my software projects that I made. So now I want you, Claude Code, to use telemetry to zoom in on the chat collection component. We'll say and optimization. Draw a diagram again of how chat data, I want to know how it gets collected and how it gets processed for the downstream generators. Again, don't use too many tokens. Don't embarrass me in front of my friends. So here we go with this. Why did the monkey fall out of the tree? Because it was dead. I like that some of you were laughing before I even said that. It's like you knew where it was going. So we're working hard here. You should come up pretty soon, but I'll jump ahead and start. So, yeah, I already did this. I had planned something to say during this time, but in my conference panicking, my mind is blank. So here we go. Now our message collection, we're finding the files off of the drive or parse and filtering them. So it's getting all the messages off the drive and it's figuring out which ones are unique to just this repo, which it calls a project. And so it's getting rid of all the other ones. It's also figuring out which ones came from the commit window. So it knows the time of the last commit and the time of this commit. And so it's been 3.9 hours since I sprung the demo. And then it's grouping it by session. If I have multiple tabs of Claude Code open, all working in this repo, those have different session IDs, so it's grouping that session. Then it's going to extract just the text messages from there, and it's going to calculate some metadata that helps AI not have to do it. And then it's going to do some token filtering. It's going to get rid of the big noisy messages and help give AI something that it can manage. And then it's going to prepare the context for the generators, and there are different pieces of context that the different generators might use. But the point is, I'm able to get an overall view of my system using telemetry, and then I'm able to zoom in on really specific details using telemetry too. So, how does this help with me to actually use telemetry to help me when I'm developing this project? So I can't reproduce a conversation that I have with Cloud Code, so I'm gonna dramatize one. We're gonna do a dramatic reenactment here. So, Cloud Code, I have a problem. The dialogue section of my journal isn't generating, it's timing out. Let's look at the Git diff to see what changed in the code recently that could have caused this.
You're absolutely right. Use the diff first.
What? Looking at the code changes, I see you. Oh, this is you.
Yeah, this is me. Look, hallucination. Looking at the code changes, I see you updated your prompts to better explain the data schema to the Gen AI model. These more detailed descriptions have token overhead, and that is what is breaking your system.
I really doubt that the schema descriptions are the problem, but I do know it's something recent because I haven't noticed a journal generation failure before. So will you use telemetry to examine what data is being passed into the breaking function?
What a smart approach, using telemetry over guesswork.
It's a fine approach, I guess. It seems pretty straightforward to me.
Using the MCP server to query the backend, I see that the function inputs are massive. This proves our idea. The data schema descriptions are adding to the input and creating this generator timeout. Let me trim down the descriptions for you.
Oh my God, stop. That's not the problem, Cloud Code. Those inputs are too huge to be explained by the data schema descriptions. So what we need to do is we need to set a breakpoint so we can see the actual literal data that's being passed into the failing function.
This is brilliant. We already know the input is huge. We need to understand what is actually being passed in and validate our schema description theory.
It's not the schema description. Oh my God. But whatever, just run the test.
After running the test, I see the problem. And it isn't the bloated schema descriptions.
You don't say.
It is that the raw chat data being passed in, every message that passed between the developer and AI assistant during the commit window. This includes tool calls, each which could have massive 1,000-line prompts. There are 448 messages here.
We figured it out. This is good.
You are so smart and wonderful.
Please stop with the compliments.
The answer is to filter out these big tool calls. Want me to modify the dialogue generator function to do that?
Well, for once I agree with you about the actual problem. There's too much chat data overwhelming the AI invocation. And I agree with you about the solution, that this needs to be filtered out. But before you write functionality here in the dialogue generator, why don't you use telemetry to check if the raw chat data is also going to the other generators?
You are amazing. This is the right approach. From the telemetry, I can see that the massive raw chat data is being passed into all three journal generator functions. Let me see how the system works. I'll do this my usual way, by grepping for keywords and doing static code analysis. Got it. I will add the new context filtering code to the context integrator layer, where other message cleanup is happening.
This seems good, but it still isn't quite right. It still doesn't explain why the failure is only recently happening when I've been successfully generating journal entries for a whole month. Also, I vaguely remember doing this already. I think I added this filtering functionality. I want you to use telemetry data to understand the full system flow.
You are wildly intelligent. I will follow your brilliant advice.
This flattery does not make me like you.
From querying the telemetry backend, I see that the system already has filtering logic. Here's the function that already filters out tool calls and system messages, reducing 448 messages to 174 messages. But journal generators were receiving the full 448 messages, bypassing existing filtering.
You know what? A few days ago, I added functionality to better support users who use multiple tabs open in Claude at once. We added a session ID support. So I bet that's when the data started to bypass the generators and the full chat data went all the way there. So let's verify this Claude code and fix the code so that it uses the existing filtering, please.
You are absolutely right. I just verified with Git, and that is indeed where the issue started. As usual, you are a genius.
Not a genius.
The fix is working with minimal code changes. Problem solved.
Not so fast, Claude Code. I don't believe you until I see real data. I do not trust your words.
The Datadog traces confirm the fix is working. Here's the evidence.
That's it. Now I consider the problem solved. We did it.
You are God's gift to computing and to all of mankind.
So based on your laughter, I'm guessing that's not just an American thing, like your coding assistants totally blow smoke up your ass the whole time too. Yeah, okay. You know there's a word for that. It's called glazing. And you know what I hate about it? Flattery costs tokens. Anyway, let's get back to telemetry. So I've noticed quite a few benefits from my month of coding with telemetry data at my fingertips. In the debugging episode alone, I noticed 4 different ways where the coding experience benefited from the telemetry integration. So the first way is that telemetry helps me disprove Claude Code's wrong assumptions. With telemetry, I was able to steer Claude Code away from wrong assumptions, and it gets fixated on. The second thing is that it helps with debugging assistance. I use telemetry to get general information about what data is being passed into my function, and in retrospect, I could have said, how did this function used to behave before it broke? What was being passed in back then? And it could have told me the shape of the data back then, and I might have gotten to the fact that I had filtering already in my system before I did. I got there in the end. The third benefit I found when feeding telemetry to Claude Code is that it's so helpful to give AI a holistic architecture view of what's happening. So in the debugging example, without telemetry, Claude Code tried to rewrite my filtering functionality that already existed twice, and in 2 different places in the code base. And the scary thing about this is, both times, if I would have said, yes, write it, it would have fixed my problem. So I would have gotten the problem fixed, moved on with my life, and had a really messy code base. And it's really hard to steer Claude Code in a way that keeps your code base clean and organized. And I think telemetry could be a key to helping with this. Another benefit of telemetry is that it can help validate code changes because you cannot trust a word it says. You need to see the data. And then it happens to me all the time when Claude Code's done, and like, I'm done, it's perfect in every way, just believe me. So always, always see the data. Outside of this example, I've used development time telemetry to help me plan what I'm going to do. So, for example, when I'm deciding how many quotes to feature in the dialogue section of my journal, I ask Claude Code, what's the average number of user messages that get passed into this? And that helped me decide what percentage to keep to feature in the dialogue section of the journal. Now, let's be real, not everything is sunshine and roses all the time. There are some potential problems, or at least some unknowns with how this is working, because this is me playing around. So the biggest unknown is cost. I've done all of this with zero concern from cost. We talked yesterday during the panel about how important it is to play while we're learning with AI. Datadog gives me a lot of flexibility to just play. And so it could be expensive. The storing the telemetry data, I don't think it's not on the scale at all for storing like what you would need to store telemetry data in production. So it feels like it could be manageable even though you're instrumenting everything, but I don't know that for sure. Also, what is the cost of the model and the coding assistance for querying and using the telemetry data? I don't know. Cloud Code can make wrong assumptions about telemetry data too. And that happened in the debugging story, where Cloud Code used telemetry as an example of the validation of that it was, like, this is proving the theory, the fact that these are huge, this is our schema problem. So another problem is that it's a pain to instrument all of your code with OpenTelemetry. So what I did personally, I built an agent to instrument my code to my particular specifications. And it's been working well for me, but it did take time and effort to build that agent. But as platform engineers, that could be a way that you support your developers. And then the last concern I have about this approach is, how are we going to instrument a code base for development and for the production at the same time? That sounds messy and a little bit hard to separate concerns there. That is the end of my talk. In conclusions, instrumenting your code with telemetry and feeding information back to your coding assistant is really helpful and can improve your AI-powered coding experience. And thank you so much. Thank you to Lucy for being the voice of Cloud Code. And here's a link to my repo commit story. Thank you. And my website with my YouTube channel and LinkedIn and everything. Right now I have one active user who's not me. Please be the second one. Please use my software, try it out. Thank you. Oh, I have stickers up here too if you want some stickers.
Thank you.